All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. This is a cool story about Eddie Van Halen telling Sammy Hagar, "What took you so long?" after Sammy decided to call Eddie and speak to him directly. My guess is that Sammy probably had inside information about what was going on and smartly decided to pick up the phone and try to make amends, which he did. Obviously, it's sad on two levels, is it took something tragic to bring these people back together again, which seems to be a reoccurring pattern in humanity. That's why, and I don't want to make this video about the whole Neil Sean, Steve Perry, Jonathan Cain situation, because I think those guys should have a reconciliation, because at some point, someone's going to get sick and they're not going to be around. And it would just be a shame to have these people not make amends. But again, it's humanity. It's not just those people. But in the music industry, it's kind of troublesome. It's kind of bothersome that the fans seem to care more about the relationships than the people themselves. That's, I think, what I'm trying to get at here. So Sammy Hagar has spoken out in more detail about his renewed friendship with Eddie Van Halen in the months leading up to the legendary guitarist's death. Hagar, who previously said he hadn't talked to Eddie since the conclusion of Van Halen's 2004 reunion tour, discussed his former bandmate in a new interview on the Angie Taylor Show. Hagar said, "I think that the word is pretty much out that Eddie and I buried the hatchet earlier this year. We didn't go around talking about it. He asked me not to talk about it, and I did not talk about it." So again, as much as I understand keeping everything close to the vest, I guess if you open up and say, "Yeah, I talked to Eddie, things are going great, we reconciled," then immediately people start saying, "Okay, so Van Halen reunion, full steam ahead." So I understand it. It's frustrating because obviously people wanted to know what was going on. Hagar goes on, "But now looking back, if we wouldn't have come to terms with that feud we were having after the reunion tour, I wouldn't have been able to come to grips with it. It would have been way too much for me because I'm still grieving my ass off. But the grieving is starting to make it feels like, hey, we had a great thing. This music will live on forever. Beyond me, I'll sing it for the rest of my life. When I'm gone, hopefully some young bands come up and play that music, and you can always play it in your homes." So Hagar here kind of alluding to the fact that he wouldn't mind if some band came along and played this music. Tribute band, I know there are Van Halen tributes out there. He goes on, asked to recall one of his favorite Eddie moments, Sammy said, "When I called him after years of not speaking, I think February, January, whatever it was, before COVID," he said, Eddie said, "What took you so long? It put the biggest smile on my face." I said, "Oh my God, don't ask me. That was just very touching to me. Hey, I've been waiting." So, again, it's just a good story. It's a good story. There's no reason to put any kind of spin on it. I did do a video about the fact that there are people who are chattering about Van Halen doing Van Halen, which I think they can't. They just can't. They can't do it without Eddie. What they need to do is a big tribute concert and have everybody who was involved with Van Halen show up, maybe even Gary Cherone, right? And then, anybody else who was influenced by Eddie who wants to show up for this, and do a real tribute and try to imitate Eddie playing guitar. You're not gonna be 100% successful trying to be Eddie Van Halen, but for all those people that Eddie Van Halen inspired, I think it's a great idea, and I think next year it would be a cool thing to see maybe outdoors, maybe in a large venue. Who knows what's going to happen, though, with this world and the politics and germs floating around, and it's just, there's so much that's up in the air, and 2020 has been such a bummer, such a downer, but it's good to know that these guys not only reconciled, but, you know, came to grips with all the things that were, you know, keeping them apart. The tragedy, as always, is that it happens because somebody is very sick, and, you know, life is short, so anybody who's out there who's watching this, you know, even if it's a relationship with your parents or with somebody who you care about, but you just can't let go of it, you know, it's time to think about that. I had a family member who just, you know, wouldn't let go of something. And unfortunately, they passed away, and that grudge and that thing was still there, and it was not reconciled. And so it's everywhere. It's not just band members from famous rock bands. It's just human nature. All right, I am done with this video. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. A lot of new subscribers lately, and I appreciate that. Also, Patreon, if you want to help me build this channel into the future, where I can have conversations with people about a whole host of topics. Say you're trying to get a hold of me and you're trying all the conventional methods and you can't find me. The best way to get a hold of me is to join Patreon for just $1 a month. It's really inexpensive, and it's a way to communicate with me if you're a band or you're a fan of the channel, or, you know, maybe you want to do an interview. It's a good way to get a hold of me. I will definitely get back to you if you're on Patreon. Otherwise, I don't use a lot of other social media on a regular basis. I understand that puts me at odds with what everybody else is doing these days, but have you seen social media lately? Why? Why would you want to be on, like, Facebook right now? In any event, I'm done. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.